Welcome to Coffee Break with K.A. and Dana. We're brought to you by the Lesbian Talk Show. I'm K.A., a lesbian romance author, and in my past life, a counselor and a social worker.
And I'm Dana, an avid reader, coffee connoisseur, recovering alcoholic, and a graduate of the School of Hard Knocks.
Grab a cup of coffee, pull up a chair, and join us for a meaningful conversation from a lesbian perspective. All right. Hey, we are talking about a powerful little word today. Two tiny little letters that so many have a difficult time saying. No.
And I don't get that. I don't have a problem with saying no. No is a complete sentence.
I'll bet you don't. I'll bet you don't have a bit of problem. In fact, I know that you don't. I, on the other hand, do.
Why?
Well, that's a very good question. My wife asked that question. She has taught me over the years to say no more than I used to. I don't know. At some level, if somebody asks for help, that's my example here. I guess I just feel like if I've got a minute, I should stop what I'm doing and give it to them.
But what if you're in the middle of something and it's hard to stop and start? And it puts pressure on you.
Oh, I know that. And I might grumble a little bit while I do it, but I'll never grumble to the person. I'll stop what I'm doing and do it. And there are other kinds of situations as well. Yeah, no is a word that I have worked on through the years.
Well, and sometimes it takes practice to say no. I don't have that. I don't have that problem. So it's hard for me. Now, I have a hard time saying no tactfully. That's where I get into trouble. Because I believe no is a complete sentence, and I don't have to tell somebody why I said no. Oh, you are my role model. My wife can do that too. My wife can do it, and my wife can do it, and I can do it sometimes. For instance, if it has to do with values, what's right or what's wrong, I don't have a bit of problem saying no there. No, I'm not comfortable with that. No, that's wrong. No, you shouldn't do that. But again, why do you feel like you need to explain that?
Well, I don't even know that I feel I have to explain it. I did just now because we're talking about it. But in those situations that are that I don't know, that moral compass kind of thing, I can say no. Yeah. And you can just read between the lines why. I might go on to explain it, but it's because I probably want to.
See, and it probably wouldn't work. I shouldn't say that, but it probably wouldn't work for me because I don't want to would probably be my answer most of the time.
Well, I bet it wouldn't. What if it was something that was, I don't know, just wrong? What if it was, I don't know, stealing from someone or setting someone up to take a fall? I don't think you'd do that. No. But if you were asked to, I think you'd say no, and then I think you'd go on to give them a piece of your mind. That's what I think. Am I right?
Me? Yeah, I probably.
Am I right?
I probably would, depending on who the person was. If it was somebody that I didn't know that well, or I don't think that highly of, I'd just say no. I'm not doing it, and leave it at that. But if it was somebody important to me, I would explain why I'm saying no.
Oh, yeah. In that situation, it wouldn't be so much of an explanation as a lecture with me. And I'd probably enjoy it. But I've never struggled saying no in those situations. It's, can you stop what you're doing and come help me with my computer. Oh, you're writing? I'm sorry. Well, you're already interrupted. And I'm talking about just or if I had a truck, can you stop by and move a couple boxes to the warehouse for me?
No.
Yeah, see, those are what I struggle with. I used to drive a pickup, and, you have those situations, or the boss who knows you're the easy mark. Hey, you would you mind doing this or the other? Yeah, I know you're doing something else. Can you just kind of work that in?
My last boss was that way, and I will admit, I didn't tell her no very often. But occasionally, if I was knee deep in the middle of something, I would tell her I can't do it right this second, but I will do it. But there were a lot of times she asked me to stay after work, and it's like, no, because I wouldn't get paid for it. So it was like,
okay, so your line was just, you drew your line at a different place. Right. When you draw your line at a different place when you're talking with someone in authority.
Right, who signs my paychecks.
Has her fingers on your paycheck. Yeah, that's where I was going with that. Okay. Well, probably most people do that. Now, in all fairness, most people do that. Even people who say no very well recognize who butters their bread. Unless they're stupid. Right. Yeah, I get that. But
my wife loves for me to get right in the middle of a project, and then she starts a project that I know she can't do, and then wants me to stop my project and help her.
Oh, no, mine never does that.
Oh, mine does that all the time.
Yours doesn't? Does yours listen to our podcast?
Yes.
Oh.
Yeah, I'm sure. Oh, well.
Yeah, kind of goes along with that personality that can say no so easily, doesn't it? Oh, well. Oh, well. Life goes on.
That's just the way it is.
My co-host who blows no smoke.
Never have.
But some people do struggle with it. Okay, so I'm glad we have a pro on board here, because you can help us. Help us learn to say no.
No is a complete sentence, and you don't have to explain yourself. I mean, you can, but why you say no is your personal credo or your belief, and just say no. I mean, just chalk me up to Nancy Reagan, just say no and leave it at that.
So you think just having permission to say no teaches someone how to do it?
But there are also other ways,
Really?
Practice.
Okay, practice like in the mirror.
To different situations. And, where I have to, maybe what I need to work on is how to say no tactfully. Because I can just say no and turn and walk away and not finish a conversation.
Okay, now the fact you need to work on saying it tactfully kind of leads us to what might be a middle ground. For those of us that struggle to say no, saying I'll think about it or something like that.
Isn't I'll think about it a no?
Is sometimes, well, you can think about it for 10 seconds after you walk off.
But it's still a no.
Can't you? And trust me, if I say no, I am going to think about it afterwards because I'm going to feel bad that I didn't help the person. Then I'm thinking about that.
Why are you feeling bad? They ask you to put yourself out there. Why do you feel bad with a no?
Yes. Because I figured they would have asked if they didn't need something. It goes
back. Then they're going to come back the next time and ask you again and ask you again and ask you again. And where do you draw the line?
Such a wise co-host you are, because you know what? That's exactly what happened. Once someone figures out you got a pickup truck, and once you carry that first box, every box they need from now on are yours to carry. I know. I see the benefit, but and I think you're right on those things. Practice saying no. Practice makes perfect. Say no. It doesn't turn out so bad. It might be easier next time, kind of a thing. Carve out your own personal space. You have a right to continue doing what you're doing. I can say all the words. It still has been a lifelong struggle with me to say no in those situations when I'm asked for help. And you were like my model. I think we'll practice for like a couple minutes at the end of each episode, and you can just...
and it's hard. I get that it's hard. But what I don't get is people who say no and then go ahead and do it anyway.
They're the ones that walk away feeling bad.
No, the ones that say, no, I'm not going to help you do A, B, or C, and then turn around the next day and help you do A, B, or C.
Yeah, that's my point. They're the ones who've mastered saying the word and then walk away from that situation feeling bad, and then they go on back and do it.
That doesn't make any sense to me.
No, it doesn't to me either. That just leaves everybody confused.
To me, that's just like saying, I'll think about it. In your head and your heart, you're saying no, but you can't get your mouth to follow.
Yeah. Well, I think practice does make perfect, but let's just say I'm still a work in progress, and I've been working on it for ever. My wife's been working on it with me for ever. So I don't know. It's a hard one. Saying no to others, that's one thing, but there's also situations where you need to say no to yourself.
Now that one I get in trouble with.
Oh, isn't that interesting?
Yeah, I'm guilty. Especially when it comes to food that I know I shouldn't eat, I'm horrible. I'll eat the cookie and then I'll berate myself for eating the cookie, or the line of Girl Scout cookies.
The line, in the long, slender package that comes down one side.
I'm a Thin Mint. My name is Dana, and I am addicted to Thin Mints.
Ooh, hey, that's my favorite too. I haven't had one of those for years.
They're still fabulous.
I think I need one. They are fabulous. We can do an advertisement right here, free, for Girl Scouts Thin Mints. All right. Yeah, we are both Thin Mint fans. But I haven't had it for a long time. But I might now, because you've made me think about it. But you're not alone in that. I mean, anyone who has struggled with dieting knows the struggle of dieting. It's hard to say no in those situations. And I would imagine... I'm guessing here, but I would imagine that saying no to a drink might be something that is talked about in AA.
And, I spent 23 years not saying no. And when I had to learn to say no, it was rough. I mean, it's when you've had something like that's been your crutch for years, saying no to it is overwhelmingly hard.
So how did you do it? How did it all come together? How did no stick on one occasion? Because it obviously did.
I was to the point where I knew if I didn't say no, that I was going to die. And now that's just the truth of it. I just wasn't going to, I couldn't live like I was living any longer.
Okay, but you're better today.
Where drinks are concerned, yes.
How come? Yes. But you're better today. You're not going to die today if you have a drink.
How do you say no today?
It's not an issue today. I don't think about it today like I did in the beginning.
So eventually you say no to the extra Girl Scout cookie long enough, and then it's easier to say no. Yeah. It's kind of the same thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
Practice.
And yeah, it is the same, but I choose not to say no to the Girl Scouts. I figure that $5 helps them.
All right, so there's a motivation piece here.
Yeah. It's not why I do it, but
yeah, there's a motive, and there might be a motivation piece to all of it.
I would believe that.
I mean, like not saying no to the person. I mean, I keep picking on pickup truck drivers, but not saying no to the person that continually uses you for your pickup truck. The motivation might be that you want to be liked. Or that you like being known as the one who comes through for other people, which I guess comes back to being liked.
But if somebody's going to like me only because I have a pickup truck and help them, then are they really a good friend?
Well, they might be. They might be a good friend and a user, or they might just be a user. It just depends what more there is to that relationship.
Right.
At least for me, it does. I mean, you can have somebody, that just has next to nothing. And the way they survive is by asking for things from everyone, because they survive on next to nothing. I'm not making an excuse here. I'm just saying there are those folks out there, and they may still be a good friend to you in every other way, except for they just happen to be someone who uses. You don't think a user can be a good friend?
I'm just trying to think how to phrase this, though. But if someone like that were in my life, I would hope they would say, I'll give you a couple bucks for gas, or I'll help you clean your house, or, I will help you in some other way, maybe that doesn't cost them anything, so that there's an equal partnership. But if I'm just giving and giving and giving and giving, it's going to get old really fast for me.
Well, and being used does get old. I mean, that's just a reality. But there are, I think there are situations where people use to survive. They don't have enough of anything, and so they look around. The thing is, their friend pool probably shrinks.
Hope so. Right.
Because they're users. Yeah. But I can think of other situations, a very elderly person that can do next to nothing for themselves and can't afford to hire help.
I will help them every time. I have an affinity for old people. Yeah.
See, and I will too. I will stop and help somebody like that in need. But that relationship may not be reciprocal ever, because there are situations where someone doesn't have much to give. And I'm a firm believer in yes to those people.
You know what? Sometimes the reciprocation is just saying thank you. For those people.
That's a good point.
For the elderly people.
That's a good point.
I figure they have done a lot for us as a generation, and if I can help them in some way, I will. And I don't feel bad about it.
That's a good point. My wife always, when this type of topic comes up, she really struggles with, she's a really generous person. And there are times that you give enough and then someone comes to expect it. They not only expect it, they come to ask for it. And they may or may not remember to say thank you. And giving is quite different
when there's an expectation that
Absolutely.
you're going to do it. Which kind of ties back to saying no. And in those situations, I can say no easily.
And no is a complete sentence. I preach that.
It is a complete sentence that empowers you.
And it saves you sometimes. Because sometimes people may ask you to do things that, as you said earlier, are against your moral compass or will cost you money. You know, moving that box may not be that hard, but the gas to get to their house and then to get where they want it dropped off and get back home costs you money. If you don't have that gas, then what do you do?
Money, time, and removes you from something you need to get done. So no is an important word to work on. And I think our discussion has shown that sometimes a person can say no in one area really well and struggle in another.
But if you do struggle, practice.
So practice makes perfect. And on that note, another good discussion, my friend.
Until next time.
One more before the end of the season. Hard to believe, isn't it? You've been listening to Coffee Break with Kay and Dana. Meaningful conversations from a lesbian perspective. We're brought to you by the Lesbian Talk Show. Listen to us on Podbean and iTunes. Follow us on Twitter. Like us on Facebook. Until next week, be kind to one another, work hard, and watch amazing things happen in your corner of the world.